to get you that Zoom invitation. Today, we're talking about connecting with your people, and your people can be many different groups, right? You can have people in the work organization, either people that report to you directly or people that you work with as peers on perhaps teams that you lead with indirect line management. There can be all different types of connections of your people in the workplace. You may be in sales and your people might be the customers. You might be in a call center and your people are the angry people calling into the call center for whatever reason. So your people can vary widely within your organization. Your people can also be people in your community. There is nothing more difficult than herding the cats of volunteers. So wherever you are participating in your community or your communities of faith, this is an opportunity to think of those as your people as well. And of course, your people is your family. Those are the people that we have the deepest connections with. And wherever you're working on connecting with your people, whether it's community or family or in the workplace, the more that you work on that, recognize that there are synergistic efficiencies, and what you're practicing carries over to all of the other facets of your life. So the first thing that is most important when you are working to connect with your people is to listen to them. And I'm not just talking about hearing their words or even waiting for your turn to speak. I think we've all been in situations where we can admit afterwards that we were just impatiently breathing, perhaps, as this person said something that sounded sort of like, I picture the Snoopy's mom, right? Like the wah, wah, wah. And we're just waiting for our turn, for them to stop so that we can speak. We've all been there. But when we want to work on our connection, and the more that we can bring ourselves when we're working one-on-one or in a group with people to get into deep level 5 listening, the better off we are going to be in forging connections, because we're going to understand so much more about what the people are saying and what they're not saying. Deep level 5 listening involves not only hearing the words, not only seeing the person's facial expressions or understanding from their body language what they're doing, and from the tone of their voice what you're hearing. It's also hearing what's not being spoken. And in a world where we're face to face again, and luckily with our families, many of us have been able to remain in that world. In a world where we're face to face, there's also a lot that researchers are just starting to quantify, right? The pheromones that we give off are signals to our brains about what is going on. These are things that we don't consciously process, but if we are deep level 5 listening, the end result of that pheromonal information goes from subconscious to conscious, and your mind is giving you and telling you more clues about what this person is saying and what they're not saying. And so deep level 5 listening is really important, and it's a skill we can all practice. We would not go through the world and our daily life always deep level 5 listening. We would never get from one thing to another. Different levels of listening are appropriate at different times. However, when you're looking to really connect with someone, when you are interested in forging a stronger relationship, it's important that you know when you need to be in deep level 5 listening. And through bringing your awareness to this and then practicing it, you can get better at it. We can all become better listeners, and listening is at the root of understanding, which is at the root of connection. So I'm just going to take a pause, make sure we're still streaming to the right place in Facebook, and see if there are any questions. Okay, thanks for the encouragement in the chat from Zoom. It was a rocky start today, but again, progress, not perfection, right? We are all human, all prone to error. The more we accept that and are compassionate with ourselves about that, the more we are compassionate with others about that. So again, just a practice. I keep saying the same things because there is so much overlap in everything that we do and treating it as a practice. So thanks for the words of encouragement in Zoom. And it sounds like there are no questions coming in. I'm just going to double check over here if I can. let us know for sure. If you're tuning in on Facebook Live today, go ahead and wave. Let us know you're here. We're here to answer any questions. If you're watching it later, hit hashtag replay, and that way I can follow up and make sure we're answering any questions later. So, all right, so we talked about deep level 5 listening and the fact that that is the foundation for really understanding somebody and really starting that connection. And if there aren't any questions about deep level 5 listening, we'll go on to the second big thing that is really important when you're working to connect with someone. And it is the framework or the basis for social work, but it applies everywhere. It applies when we're talking with people that report into us. It applies when we're talking with our potential customers. It applies for us in our interactions with our family and our loved ones. And it is starting the conversation wherever the person is. Very often we have in our mind a preconceived notion of where that person should be. Perhaps you are working with your husband on something, and there's a skill set that you have that you've been using and implementing and sort of giving to the relationship, but really you feel this person, your husband, not this person, but your husband, your partner should be interested in this skill and interested in doing these things, and they're not, but you feel they should be and you want to teach it to them. Well, you have to start where that person is. You can't force them to get excited about what you know how to do and what might come easily to you, but you can find out from their perspective if they're interested in learning it, right? You want to start where they are. You don't ever want to force somebody to be where you expect them to be, because already you are setting unrealistic expectations. When someone is here with like interest level and you think they should be here, and you start approaching them with your interest level or where you think they should be, and you're talking to them as though they're here, well, what's happening as you come together? You're not coming together, right? You're just passing. Sometimes we dive to where the person is and they come up to meet us. But the surest way of us approaching that person is to just show up where they are, right? So so your husband knows about this thing that you've been doing for your relationship. Let's just say, hypothetically for this situation, that you have been doing the financial accounting for your family and you've been doing it without his involvement for years, and you want him to be doing it. Well, then in this situation, you need to start talking to him about finances, what he thinks about them, what his ideas are, what perhaps his hopes and dreams are for your family. You two together can focus on what your hopes and dreams are. And then you can start talking to him about some of the tactical things associated with what you do to maintain and keep the family finances in order. You would never just sort of dump on him and expect him to be happy and learn the software that you use or to pay attention to the bills and pay them in the same way that you do if you haven't already talked to him about that. So that's that example of starting where a person is. Another example could be related to a child, right? If you have a young kid, maybe they're 6 or 7, and they are not doing well in some subject in school, but it's still early, right? They're early in their education. There's still a lot of parental involvement in making sure that they are learning what they can. Think about what your expectations are of what your kids should be doing at that age. And then think about what the teacher's expectations are, or the school's expectations are. And then think about where your child is. And then talk to them. Ask your child how they feel about what they're doing in school. Listen and try and understand where they're coming from. Again, deep level 5 listening. Our kids can clue us in to so much that is critical to information about their own development and how they're seeing the world. So there's another example of meeting your people where they are. A third example could be you have an employee, a direct report that you think should be gunning for the next level up, right? They've been in their current role for 5 years. They do it really well. But they never seem to want to go beyond it. Well, have you talked to them? Maybe they've reached a level in their career where they're happy staying put. You're not going to force them to want to grow and to rise up the ladder. And perhaps you think that's where they should go, but they have no desire to go there. You don't know that until you really listened to what they've said and really sat there and thought about where they are and who they are and who they want to be. So to sum it up, because we got started a little late, but we've rushed through it, the two most important and critical things for connecting with your people are to recognize that the first thing is it's on you. It's on you to listen. Really listen and know when you need to get into deep level 5 listening and practice it, because it is a skill, and it's not a skill that's rewarded by our social media life and with screens environment. It is a skill that we all need to practice. And the second thing is to meet your people in whatever context, in whatever conversation, where they are. So know where they are and approach them in that space. And finally, there's going to be people you just don't connect with. They're few and far between, in all honesty. When you find yourself trying to make and forge stronger connections with people, you're going to find less people that you just don't click with. But even then, they're going to be present. Accept that. Recognize where your energy is best spent. And perhaps after a few weeks, a few months, a few years, depending on the situation, of trying to connect with a person on a more personal level and forge a stronger connection, you may just need to accept that that is not a person that I'm ever really going to connect with. Maybe we still need to interact. We need to make sure we can have a transactional type of relationship that is, polite and accomplishes whatever objective we have because we have this transactional relationship, but we're never going to truly connect. There are those people out there, but I would encourage everybody to know that as you are looking to connect more deeply with your people, those people that you just don't connect with will be fewer and farther in between. All right, I'm just going to stop and see if there are any questions on what we've been talking about. I'm not seeing anything come in, but if there are questions later, definitely let us know. And just one final time, Leading with Your Whole Self starts on April 12th at 9 a.m. Pacific time. You want to get registered. If you're not already registered, let me or Janessa know. We'll get you over the workbook. This is a free workshop, and it's so powerful because you get to practice what we talk about from day one all the way through the workshop. You get to meet other women that are like-minded. They want to have it all, and they want to figure out how to have it all, because it is possible, but it does require us getting really clear on what it all is and when we can have each piece of it. All right, ladies, I'm going to sign off for this Wednesday. I hope you all are doing well. Let us know any questions you have about this training. Let us know if you want the weekly Wednesday workshop Zoom series, and definitely join us on Monday next week. Bye, everyone.